It's day 26 of 60 days of studying the greats, and today we're going to look at the life of Thomas Jefferson. What if a single pen could change the fate of a nation? For Thomas Jefferson, that pen wrote freedom into history. He was born in 1743 in Virginia. Now, as a kid, Jefferson had a pretty good shot at becoming the first president of the United States. I mean, really, he might have been the first president of the United States, except George Washington was also a thing. But I digress. You see, Jefferson's father, Peter Jefferson, was a wealthy landowner who'd recently become one of the largest landowners in Virginia. And his mother, Jane Randolph Jefferson, came from a long line of aristocrats. So it seemed almost predetermined that young Thomas would follow in his father's footsteps, managing a large plantation with hundreds of slaves. And to that end, Peter hired some of the best tutors in the colonies to teach his son. By age 14, Thomas had mastered Latin, Greek, and French, and was well versed in mathematics, philosophy, and science. So at age 16, Peter sent him off to the College of William and Mary to continue his education. But while all this sounds like it set Jefferson up for a life of privilege and tradition, I think something else was happening too. See, at age 20, after having graduated from William and Mary, he didn't return to the family estate to begin his career as a planter, but instead stayed in Williamsburg to study law. And just 3 years later, he was admitted to the bar. I think what we can see here is that despite the privileges afforded to him by birth, Jefferson was forging his own path in life. And in 1767, he proved it by purchasing his own plantation called Monticello, which he designed and built according to his own tastes. But if you think this makes Jefferson an easy subject to categorize as simply a rich kid who liked to draw pictures of rocks, then I've got news for you. Because in 1770, at the peak of his career as a lawyer, he decided to take some time off to read the works of Baron de Montesquieu, who'd argued for the separation of powers in government. And this sparked a fire in Jefferson that would change the course of American history. See, upon reading this book, Jefferson realized that the colonial government wasn't doing right by the people. And so, in 1773, he helped found the Club of 76, a secret society dedicated to opposing British policies in the colonies. And just 3 years later, when the call went out for delegates to attend the Continental Congress, Jefferson was sent to represent Virginia. In attendance were men like John Adams and Benjamin Franklin, all of whom were about to play pivotal roles in securing independence from the crown. And when it came time to draft the Declaration of Independence, John Hancock, president of the Continental Congress, chose Jefferson for the job. Now, I can only imagine how intimidating it must have been for Jefferson to have been handed the pen under these circumstances, but he delivered. And when the document was presented to the Continental Congress on July 4, 1776, it passed with only one dissenting vote. It was signed by 56 men, each willing to risk their life, liberty, and happiness for the cause of freedom. And that document has served as the foundation for the ideals of America ever since. In fact, in 1799, when John Adams suggested that a statue be erected to the author of the Declaration, the idea was received with such enthusiasm that 13 different states chipped in to make it happen. Now, after the Revolution, Jefferson's talents didn't go unrecognized. In 1797, he was sent to France as a diplomat, renegotiated the return of several American captives, and secured the release of more than 300 sailors who'd been held hostage. Then in 1801, he became the third president of the United States. And during his tenure, he nearly doubled the size of the country with the Louisiana Purchase, which opened up vast new lands for exploration. He also sent Lewis and Clark to chart the unknown West, which again pushed the boundaries of America's destiny. Still, Jefferson was a man of contradictions. On the one hand, he was the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, which proclaimed that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. And yet he himself was a slaveholder who owned over 600 slaves during his lifetime. In fact, when he purchased the Louisiana Territory from Napoleon, he knew that it contained thousands of slaves, but he didn't seem to mind. So when we remember Thomas Jefferson today, let us also remember the complexity of his character and the contradictions of our past. Thomas Jefferson's pen gave America its voice. His vision expanded its land, and his legacy still shapes its conscience. He was a dreamer of liberty, and a reminder that history is never without its shadows. Okay, now it's your turn. What do you admire most about Thomas Jefferson? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to study the life of another great, be sure to check out the rest of the videos in the 60 Days of Studying the Greats series.